Every afternoon, Thomas the Tank Engine pumps along his branch line with Annie and Clarabelle. First, they pass the watermill. Next, they come to a big farm. Then, they comes to a small station outside of a village. This is a special place to Thomas. Whenever children hear Thomas coming along, they get out of Bertie the bus waving until he is out of sight. One day, Thomas was running late. He had stopped at a red light before to talk to some new children. Percy the Green Engine was waiting too. "Hurry up, Thomas," called Percy when the signal dropped. "If you're late, Sir Topham Hatt might get a new engine to replace you."
He will never do that,
thought Thomas, but he was worried. Next day, Thomas hurried along the line. Just ahead was the goods yard. There, on the platform, was an inspector waving a red flag. Next, Thomas saw some children. They looked worried,
Something must be wrong.
thought Thomas. "Help, Thomas, help! We're glad to see you," called the children. "Please, would you take us home?" The station master explained to Thomas's driver that Bertie had broken down, and all the parents would be worried if the children were late. Thomas waited as the children clambered into Annie and Clarabelle. When Thomas finished his journey, he was very late. He was worried that Sir Topham Hatt might be cross with him. "I warned Thomas," puffed Percy to James. "He's been late one time too many. He'll be in trouble now." But next morning, when Thomas picked up his passengers, Sir Topham Hatt was nowhere to be seen.
Thank goodness.
Sighed Thomas. Thomas knows every part of his line. Just ahead was a strait where the hot sun had bent the rails on the track. "Careful, Thomas," called his driver, but it was too late. "That's done it," said his driver. "We shouldn't get any further today,"
But what about my passengers?
asked Thomas. "Don't worry, they'll be looked after," replied his driver. While working to repair the line, Thomas had shut freight cars in the yard. Bertie came to see him.
"I understand that you need my help again."
Yes, Bertie.
Replied Thomas sadly.
I can't run without my rails.
Bertie set off to collect Thomas's passengers. "Hello, Bertie," they said. "We're glad you're here." Bertie drove along the road that runs by the railway. He stopped at each station along the line. Sometimes he stopped between stations to let people off closer to their homes. Thomas felt miserable.
I've lost my passengers to Bertie. They like him better than me.
Sir Topham had arrived. "Your branch line is repaired. I'm going to change your timetable so that you and Bertie can work together more." When Thomas reached the station, there, to his relief, were all his passengers. "Bertie is a great bus, but we missed our train ride with you," they said. Later, Thomas spoke to Bertie.
Thank you for looking after my passengers.
"That's alright, Thomas. I like to make new friends, but I'm glad to share them with you."
Bertie, you're a very good friend indeed.
It was a baking hot summer on the island of Sodor. The sun was shining brightly. James and Toby were taking children to the seaside. It was a wonderful job. All the engines liked seeing the children's happy faces, and they loved hearing them cheer when they saw the sea. Thomas wished he was taking children to the seaside, but Thomas was taking a big tank of raspberry syrup to the ice cream factory. Down at the beach, it was very hot. and the ice cream lady had run out of ice cream. So when Thomas arrived at the ice cream factory, the factory manager was waiting for him. "We have to make lots more ice cream," he cried. "You must go and get the cream, the chocolate, and the strawberries." Thomas was disappointed. He had lots to collect, and he wanted to take children to the seaside. "If we get everything in time," said Thomas's driver, "then we can still take some children." So Thomas rushed to the dairy. He collected the cream, and he puffed away quickly. Next, Thomas had to collect some strawberries, so he raced through the countryside to Farmer McColl's. Then Thomas had to stop for James. "Out of my way!" snorted James. "Pasture train coming through!" James's characters were full of laughing children. They were going to the seaside.
Why does James get to take the children?
Moaned Thomas. At last the crossing was clear, and Thomas puffed away.
If I'm quick, I can still take some of the children.
He puffed. So Thomas raced as fast as he could. Soon Thomas arrived at Farmer McColl's.
Please be quick.
Thomas panted. The farm workers loaded his freight car. Before long, it was filled with plump, ripe strawberries.
Thank you.
Thomas chuffed, and he raced away. Next, he had to go to the chocolate factory. Thomas hurried through the baking sun.
I still got to take some children to the seaside.
He panted. Thomas puffed faster and faster. His wheels chattered and his pistons pumped. But he puffed so fast, the signalman didn't change the points in time. Thomas raced down the wrong track.
Oh, bother!
Cried Thomas. Thomas had to reverse slowly and carefully back to the points. Then he had to wait while Toby went fast. Toby was taking more children to the seaside. They were having a wonderful time.
Everyone gets to take the children except me,
moaned Thomas. At last, the signalman changed the points. Thomas reversed back onto the track, and soon he was on his way once again. When Thomas arrived at the chocolate factory, it was getting late.
Hurry up. If I'm quick, I might still get to take some children.
The workmen loaded Thomas's freight car as fast as they could. It was soon filled with heaps of chocolatey cocoa powder. Thomas was ready to go, but the shunters hadn't released the brakes on the freight cars. Thomas pulled as hard as he could, but the freight cars wouldn't move.
I have to hurry,
puffed Thomas. He heaved, he puffed, and he puffed, and he heaved so hard, the coupling broke. Thomas shot forward. Cocoa powder flew everywhere.
No, I'll never get to take the children,
puffed Thomas. After a long time, Thomas's freight cars were ready. The yard manager had released the brakes, and Thomas chuffed carefully out of the yard. Finally, the track turned left past the old church. Thomas arrived at the ice cream factory. He thought his job was nearly done, but he was wrong. The factory manager was waiting for him. "The ice cream will soon be ready," he said. "You must take it to the seaside for me." Thomas was very disappointed. He wished he could take children to the seaside instead. He wanted to hear them cheer when they saw the sea. Thomas puffed along the coast to the seaside.
I wish I was taking the children,
sighed Thomas. Percy was waiting at the seaside station, and so were lots of children. They all cheered as Thomas pulled into the station. Thomas was surprised.
Why are the children cheering?
He puffed. They're cheering for you, laughed Percy. They've been waiting for the ice cream. The children were delighted to see Thomas and delighted to eat the ice cream. Thomas loved seeing the children laugh and cheer. Sir Topham Hatt was waiting with the children. Today you have worked extra hard, said Sir Topham Hatt. You are a really useful engine.
Delivering ice cream's a fun job after all.
Puffed Thomas. He was very happy. Peep, peep! Here comes Thomas the Tank Engine. Thomas and his friends work hard every day. Thomas does not want to work today. It is his birthday. He wants a party with presents, balloons, and silly hats. But Sir Topham Hatt says, Henry is busy, Gordon is busy, James is busy. You must work today, Thomas. So Thomas goes to his branch line. Back and forth, back and forth. He carries people. He carries animals. He carries wood. He carries grain. Thomas sees his friends near the engine shed. No one says happy birthday. No one says a word about presents, balloons, or silly hats. At the end of the day, Thomas heads home.
Those engines did not look so busy to me.
Oh no, a cow is on the line,
Move!
says Thomas. Moo, says the cow,
No, no, no!
says Thomas.
Not moo! Move!
At last, the cow moves. Thomas is late. Thomas is tired. Some birthday. Sir Topham Hatt opens the doors to the dark shed. Thomas chugs inside. Lights come on. Surprise! Say all Thomas's friends. We were busy, says Henry. We were busy making a party for you, says James. It is a wonderful party. There are presents, balloons, and silly hats to wear. Happy birthday, Thomas! Thomas the Tank Engine was feeling bright and cheerful. It was a splendid day.
Good morning.
He whistled to some cows, but the cows didn't reply,
Never mind.
said Thomas.
Now busy with their breakfast.
Next, he saw Bertie.
Hello, Bertie. Care for a race today?
But all Bertie could say was, Ouch! That's another hole in the road,
I'm sorry, Bertie.
smiled Thomas. Thomas was still in good spirits when Bertie arrived at the next station.
Bad luck, Bertie. Now, if you're a steam engine, you will run a pair of reliable rails.
Huh, replied Bertie. The railway is supposed to deliver the tar to mend the road 2 weeks ago. You can't trust a thing that runs on rails.
I run on rails. You can trust me, Bertie. I'll see if I can find out what's happened.
And Thomas puffed away towards the big station. James was snorting about in the yard. Too bad, he grumbled. Percy goes to work at the harbor and I do his job, here, there, and everywhere. Take that! Oh, groaned the freight cars. Just you wait. We'll show you. Gordon laughed. I'll tell you what, James. If you pretend to ill, you couldn't shut freight cars here or go to the quarry there, could you? What a good idea, agreed James. Look, here comes Thomas. I'll start pretending now. Thomas was sorry to see the engines looking miserable.
Cheer up. It's a beautiful day.
Yes, grumbled Gordon, but not for James.
What's the matter?
He's sick, replied Gordon. Yes, he is. I am, stuttered James. I don't feel well at all,
Don't worry.
said Thomas kindly.
I'll help out your ill.
Gordon and James sniggered quietly to each other. Some of James's cars were coupled behind Thomas, and he steamed away to the quarry. The cars were still crossed. We couldn't pay James back for bumping us, so we'll play tricks on Thomas instead. One engine is as good as another. But Thomas didn't hear them. He collected all the stone from the quarry and set off back to the junction. Danger lay ahead. Now for our plan, giggled the cars. Go faster, go faster. They pushed Thomas over the switches. Slow down, called Thomas's driver, and applied the brakes. Poor Thomas stood dazed and surprised in a muddy pond, as a toad eyed him suspiciously.
Bust my buffers.
Mumbled Thomas.
The day starts so well, too.
Duck pulled away the cars, and Edward helped Thomas back to the junction. Suddenly, Thomas remembered the missing tar. He told Edward all about it. That's strange, said Edward. A car full of tar has been left at my station. That must be it. Driver will make sure it gets to Bertie now. Later, James spoke to Thomas. I'm sorry about your accident, he muttered. And so is Gordon. We didn't mean to get you into trouble. No, indeed, spluttered Gordon. A mere misunderstanding, Thomas. All's well that ends well. Just then, Bertie arrived. He looked much more cheerful. My road's been mended now,
Oh, I am glad.
replied Thomas. Thanks for all you did, added Bertie. Now I know I can trust an engine, especially if his name is Thomas. Gordon and James puffed silently away to the shed, but Thomas still had company.
Well, well.
He sighed.
What a day for surprises.
The toad, who was looking forward to a ride home, noisily agreed.
It's Thomas the Tank Engine, hip 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 hooray! Chugga chugga chug chug chop chop chop, he rides along the way. And when you hear that whistle, it can only be one train. Your favorite little engine, Thomas is his name.
Thomas the Tank Engine rolling along. All of his friends will be coming along.
Thomas, we love you. He's a really useful engine with a heart that's big and strong. He chugga chugga chop chops, working hard, helping everyone.
Thomas, he has lots of friends.
And you can be one too. Just clap, clap, clap and sing along. Thomas, we love you.